everyone, I'm Mika. This is my co-presenter Hitomi and Honoka. Today, we'd like to talk about Japanese pottery. What kind of pottery do you like? Colorful one or natural one? Big one or small one?
Today, we are going to talk about one of the most famous potter, Kawai Kanjiro. It is said Kawai Kanjiro was not only an artist, but also philosopher. We can see Kawai's achievements from his pottery art, other art, and his life. In order to know about Kawai Kanjiro, we need to know about history of Japanese pottery. So Hitomi will tell you about history of Japanese pottery. Please enjoy our presentation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Hitomi. Today, I introduce Japanese pottery and history. Japanese pottery is deeply rooted, especially in Asian culture, of course, including Japan. So from now, I introduce pottery in Japan, materials and tools, and present Japanese pottery style. So first, when do you think Japanese pottery was created? Thank you. It started 12,000 years ago. What a huge history, isn't it? We call Jomon period when Japanese pottery was created, and the pottery which born in this period, we call Jomon Ware. Jomon Ware has a unique style. There are patterns on the surface which pressed by rope coil. After that, Yayol ware was born. Yayol ware is thinner and harder than Jomon ware. This is because Jomon ware was made with fire on the field, with exposing the pottery surface to the air. Yayol ware was also fired on the field, but it was covered with straw and soil. Because of the constant temperature in the fire, harder pottery was made. Next, I introduce medieval history, tea ceremony, and origin of Arita ware. Tea ceremony, Japanese pottery is deeply connected in the tea ceremony. In the tea ceremony, shigaraki ware became famous. Shigaraki ware is unglazed pottery, and it was considered that shigaraki ware is appropriate for Japanese tea ceremony. This is because shigaraki ware looks very simple and calm, so it was much Japanese aesthetic viewpoint. So this is the unglazed pottery. You can see the pottery surface looks rough and not shining. The person who named Juko Murata, who is the founder of tea ceremony, started to use it as tools for tea ceremony. In 1598, one man came from Korea. His name is Lee Sampyeong. He is the first person who made white pottery in Japan. This white pottery was the first style of today's Arita ware. Arita ware is pottery mainly produced in Saga Prefecture, which is northwest in Japan. So, for example, this is a Japanese island, and Saga Prefecture is about right here. Also, the kiln is an essential thing for making pottery. There were two types of kiln in Japan. They were called Anagama kiln and Noborigama kiln. Anagama kiln was introduced to Japan from China in the 5th century. Anagama kiln style is it dig a tunnel in the slope. It consists fire chamber which fills up and pottery fired. Different from burning in the field, it was possible to fire in the high temperature, about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, so harder pottery was made. Noborigama kiln was also introduced from Korea in the 17th century. It was also built in the slope. It consists several chambers. Each chambers are connected in a small hole, and heat goes through the top of the chamber. Usually, it takes 60 hours to make pottery in Noborigama kiln. Also, the temperature in the kiln was always kept at 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit, and it takes 1 day to reach that temperature. Glaze is chemicals that put on pottery surface. They were used for many purposes. For example, to shine beautifully, to protect pottery from shock, and to allow pottery hold water. So this is the glaze pottery, and you can see the pottery surface shines so beautifully. Originally, people used natural glaze. Natural glaze is firewood ash in the kiln made from burning wood which emits chemicals. Different from modern glaze, natural glaze color would change. The place where pottery was put, and the stream of fire, the weather, and kind of firewood used. So this is the natural glaze, and you can see that the pottery's color is a little bit different. Today, there are many kinds of kilns, and it became easier to use and make pottery. Electric kiln was invented in 20th century. As the industrialization progressed, natural gas and propane were used as fuel because they are more efficient. Also, today's kiln can control temperature by computer. Also, there are many kinds of pottery style today. These are modern style of pottery. We can use them more casually than past pottery. Japanese pottery has huge history, and it's still being created. Also, Japanese pottery changed and improved many times. Not only pottery, but also materials and tools were improved too. Also, there are many kinds of, today's Japanese pottery style is a mix of old and modern types. So next speaker is Honoka.
Thank you, Hitomi. Hello, I'm Honoka. I'm going to talk about Kawai's 3 pottery styles: first style, middle style, and last style. And also, I will introduce Kawai's other art. Kawai Kanjiro really admired Chinese and Korean styles. So his first style, which made him famous, was based on Chinese and Korean style. However, Kawai gradually started to have an agony about his pottery style because he thought his art did not have personality. At the time, he found the pottery, which was made for usual lifestyle, was more beautiful than what he had made. And he thought unknown artists who make useful pottery are more valuable. So he started to make useful pottery, which is called Yonobi style. Yonobi style got inspiration from Mingei movement. Mingei thinking is that the handcrafted of ordinary people is the most beautiful. During World War II, Kawai could not use a kiln, but he had a lot of passion to make pottery. After World War II, his third style started. In his third style, he made a lot of dynamic pottery as if he let his feeling out. Here is an interesting story. When Kawai Kanjiro was making pottery, he did not like the design. So he wiped away the glaze. Then he found a new design, wiping technique. This pottery is known as gosudoro hakeme. Gosu means blue color. Hakeme means brush mark. People often say the older Kawai got, the more his art showed us a dynamic factor, like this pottery. These are two examples of the technique. And also, this is an example of brush mark pottery. As I mentioned, all artists could not use a kiln during World War II. Even under bad conditions, Kawai still wanted to work on making art. So he wrote powerful and dynamic calligraphy and poems, which tell us his character and spirits. This is my most favorite calligraphy. Top right kanji means heart. Bottom right kanji means sword. Top left kanji means carving. Bottom left kanji means myself. In my opinion, this calligraphy tells us only you can carve out your career for yourself. Another kind of art which we can enjoy and see Kawai's unique point is his poem. One of the most famous poems is 暮らしが仕事, 仕事が暮らし. The meaning in English is life is working, working is life. Life and work were Kawai's lifelong motif. So all his art were related to this motif. We can see Kawai's secret, why he could make so much beautiful pottery art from this poem. Someone who was impressed by this poem said, Kawai Kanjiro was first and probably the last person to have such a wonderful ability and technique. From this episode, we know that Kawai Kanjiro was not only an artist, but also he was a philosopher. As we know, Kawai Kanjiro was one of the most important people for Japanese pottery history, and he left a treasure money cannot buy. He especially developed his own art style and lifestyle, which gave us new impact, and he joined folk arts movement. In my opinion, Kawai Kanjiro was one and only an artist who loved to be concerned with everything related to art. In conclusion, I told you how Kawai Kanjiro and his collection of art are wonderful and adorable. Next, Mika will tell you about Kawai Kanjiro's wonderful life. Thank you.
Thank you, Honoka. Hitomi has told you about Japanese pottery history, and Honoka has taught you about Kawai Kanjiro's wonderful art works. So now, I'd like to talk about Kawai Kanjiro's life history. By the way, could you refuse a big award from the government? Well, Kawai Kanjiro did it. In my presentation, you can know about Kawai Kanjiro's life, his character, and his house. First, I'd like to talk about Kawai Kanjiro's life. A wonderful potter was born in 1890 at Yasugi City, Shimane Prefecture. He grew up as the second son of 7 siblings. When he was a student, he learned chemical knowledge for foundation of making pottery. He was a master of glazes and performed 10,000 experiments on glazes while he was a student. When he was 30 years old, he got married. He was a lucky person because he had a wonderful wife. Her name was Tsune. Surprisingly, It was Kanjiro's 30th attempt at an arranged marriage. Almost all his life, he joined this movement, Mingei movement. Min means all people, gei means art. In English, Mingei means folk art. Mingei is an abbreviation of 民主的工芸, meaning art of the people, by the people, for the people. At that time, gorgeous decorations was a mainstream idea for industrial art appreciation. However, Kanjiro thought ordinary people's craft works made by unknown people were as beautiful as mainstream art. This movement affected many people who thought Western style was more beautiful than Japanese style. Next, I'd like to talk about Kawai Kanjiro's character. Japanese people's image of artist character is strict and stubborn because they work hard and concentrate on their work. But Kawai Kanjiro was not. He was very kind. He really took care of his relationship. This is an example from Kawai Kanjiro's granddaughter. One day, one of Kawai Kanjiro's housekeeper broke his drying pots when she was trying to take in laundry. Kawai Kanjiro ran out from his studio and quickly picked up broken pieces. And he said, don't worry, just go inside. I can always make more. Kawai Kanjiro didn't force something onto people. And he loved freedom. So he didn't sign his works. He said, my work itself is my best signature. Kawai Kanjiro often gave his works when people visit his house. He was a broad-minded person, but he didn't want to be famous. So, as I said in the beginning of my presentation, he refused a big award to be living national treasure. Finally, I'd like to talk about Kawai Kanjiro's house. In 1937, he built his house in Kyoto. The outside was modeled by Kyoto style, and the inside was modeled as Japanese traditional style from Hida Takayama and Korean style. He built his house with his brother, who was a master carpenter. Inside his house, there are so many beautiful architecture which selected by Kanjiro. The left side is a chair which made from the mortar for rice cake making. And the right side is a round stone which was given by people in Kawai Kanjiro's hometown. And it was Kawai Kanjiro's favorite one. He died when he was 76 years old. After 7 years later, Kawai Kanjiro's house opened to public as Kawai Kanjiro Museum. They exhibit many kinds of Kawai Kanjiro's works, architectures, and atmosphere made by Kanjiro. I went there with Honoka and Hitomi this summer. This museum is very famous for foreign country people, so we met 3 groups from other countries. In conclusion, Kawai Kanjiro lived an artistic life because of Kawai Kanjiro's character. Warm character, he loved everyone and he was loved by everyone around him. He didn't sign his works. Moreover, he gave away almost all his works. So there are few his works in the museum, but the old plate that you have might be Kawai Kanjiro's work. Thank you.
So now you just learned Japanese pottery has huge history, and one of the great Japanese potter, Kawai Kanjiro. We hope you enjoyed our presentation and getting interested in Japanese pottery more than before.
We borrowed these pottery from our teacher, Timothy, who helped us a lot to deliver this presentation. You can Actually, these are not Kawai's pottery, but you can enjoy and see Japanese traditional mark pottery, brush mark pottery, glazed pottery, and natural glazed pottery.
If you have a chance, please come to Japan and visit Kawai Kanjiro's museum and find your favorite pottery style.
Thank you.